Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we got some Roller Champions content for you. In this video I'll be talking to the community about the state of Roller Champions, the competitive scene, and some more topics along those lines. Also, I will link everyone's requested social media that talked with me in the description, so huge thanks to them and feel free to check them out as well. Alright, let's get into this. To start out of the announced teams that we got so far from Roller Champions, which one should people watch out for, and which team do you think could be the dark horse team?
It's hard to tell. Like, for me, I've watched a lot of VODs looking back at the closed alpha. I will say I'm excited to see Galactic Mafia solely because of their logo. I love their logo a lot. It looks pretty cool.
I would have to say probably, I think the one that like pops out to me the most is Ball Hogs, of course, which is Justin's team. Because during the closed alpha, I had like the most difficulty playing them. Dark Horse, I would say, is probably Ghouls, which is Razzie, Doc VX, and this guy. Because I genuinely think, whenever somebody comes to me and asks me what my who I think is the best player in Roller Champions, I almost always give the same answer, and that's this guy. So I think a team with this guy, any team with this guy, is probably going to be nuts.
Personally, I'm scared of Ghouls. Just as a personal opinion, I do think that the combination of Razzie and this guy is going to be freaking terrifying.
Okay, so out of the teams announced so far, I think the two biggest teams to watch out for are obviously Ball Hogs, because they have Justin, which is a longtime player, Mob Spy is another great player, and Raptor, all three really good players. I also think, though, Havoc will be a really good team, with Zyber, BB, and Razor.
I think it's Justin Reverse's team, the Bullhogs, because they're more known out there. Even though there's videos and that of people beating them, it's kind of, they're known to be one of the top competitive players, I would say.
I'm actually a huge Psychopaths fan. I think Psychos is a super capable player, and I think he's going to shock everyone. As for his teammates, Rhythm is super talented, and I remember in the early days, I told everyone that whoever was picking up Paul Angs was going to go far. I love those guys, and they're exactly who I'm rooting for.
I think it has to be Psychopaths. I think, they're already an org, but looking past that, I think their team is really, really good. And for a Dark Horse team, again, there's a bit of EU bias here, but I'd have to say Acton on Verba. Two of them weren't in the top 100, but I think they're, again, going to really perform.
On the topic of teams, what do you think is going to be the most important factor when creating a team and choosing teammates?
I think in that part, it's all about having people you can work well with in a team. I think teamwork is much more key than in games like Rocket League. I know Rocket League and Roller Champions aren't too comparable, but I think teamwork is very important, so having people who you gel with nicely, and just people who you simply work well with in a stressful environment, for example.
Well, I think the main one is just having, good skill and a good mentor to train you. But the other thing is definitely chemistry, because if you can't work out like your team's kinks, or you can't pass right, just all those things can play a big role in winning a game. So I think that's the main thing, is chemistry.
Well, I mean, in the beginning, 100% is going to be, have you played E3? Have you played workshops? Have you played the closed alpha? Because that's really the only way right now we can determine skill level.
Well, okay, now I can say this from experience because I come from other games such as Overwatch and Lawbreakers and whatnot, where I've been a part of teams and I've even been captain of teams myself. I feel like some of the most important things to go into making a team that a lot of people tend to forget is that it's one thing to have everybody on your team be a good player or a very outstanding role player, but it's another thing to have outstanding role players on your team and getting along with them, because it's more so there's a bond that goes unspoken when you really mesh well with teammates. It's a more so whenever you're in a match and you're playing with them, you really like some teams don't have to communicate as much, and that's because they already know what to do. They already know how to react to certain situations.
The worst thing you can do is pick people that you've never played with. Forming a team with people that you've never even spoken to before, that stuff doesn't work out. And I'll tell you why. Teams are formed because 2 people, 3 people, whatever, they're playing games together and they realize, wow, there's some chemistry there. You can feel it, and you can't do that without playing together. You can be best friends with somebody that plays this game, and you guys just don't mesh well together or play well together. And trying to force it and trying to force a team can be difficult, and it's really important to let your team form naturally.
I think a big part of teamwork is chemistry, finding the right teammates, and being able to work off of each other. One thing that'll help teams is if a team sticks together, even though maybe one person is lacking a little bit, ultimately it'll be good for a team to stay together as long as they can, because that chemistry will just build and build and build.
And moving right along, what do you think is the one thing that can make or break a Roller Champions team?
So I personally think it's adaptation. If a team can't change playstyles mid-game or mid-series, however these tournaments are going to work, I think they're screwed. I think you need to have a team that can adapt playstyles based on who they're versing.
I think one of the real breakers could be if there's a big ego on the team, for example, or if there is just some sort of like, even if it's a tiny crack in the team, it's going to get bigger bit by bit in these games and these tournaments. And if there is a tiny problem, it can escalate into something much bigger.
I think it's more of people getting bored of the game. Like, say for some reason one of your teammates just get bored, that kind of drags down the whole team, because that gets everyone else's morale down, because they have to find another player to kind of fit that slot. And you've all known how to play each other, play the play styles with each other. So it makes it more difficult if you have to find a new person and adapt to all of that.
The big thing that breaks teams in a lot of esports is lack of teamwork and frustration, without a doubt. Speaking from previous esports experience, it takes a lot of mental fortitude to be able to play games competitively. And I think a lot of people just expect to play well and suddenly win tournaments, when in reality, it's not that simple.
That there's definitely other things that can make a break a team, but one of the major things for me is trust. Because if you don't trust your teammates, if you don't trust the people you're playing with, then how are you going to expect to be able to win consistently and make a name for yourselves together?
What do you think is going to be the most important factor that the Roller Champions team will need to introduce to have a successful competitive scene?
Custom matches. Custom matches, particularly, because there have been numerous games, like for example, if anyone plays anime games, I'm pretty sure you guys heard of a game called Jump Force. Jump Force was released without the addition of a rematch button and a character select option. So pretty much, it's a fighting game. Those are 2 things that should never be missing from the very start. Those should be in, or you have to go all the way back out to the menu just to start up a whole new lobby and a whole new game, and the process is just tiring. So hearing that not only will we be getting custom matches in Roller Champions, but we're going to be getting it in the beta, that's extremely wonderful. Even more so for the people that will have access to the beta, because then that's going to be able to give some of these teams a chance to actually set up scrims and practice games against one another, so they can kind of get their stress down, get their teamwork down, and everything else.
I want to see a Ubisoft hosted tournament. I'm waiting for it. And maybe also comp specific, rank specific cosmetics for each season. That'd be pretty cool.
I think for a good competitive scene, you need a decently high skill ceiling so that there is and can be a difference between the pros and new players, or even players that have been playing for a decent amount of time. But I also think that they need to have an audience that'll want to watch that high level gameplay, give them something to look forward to maybe see, and something that might be interesting to watch.
I think they'll have to, I think it was announced that custom matches are going to be in the beta. But I guess it's going to depend on the spectating feature, and things like that. That'll kind of shape how RC looks to, I guess, viewers, and help with the growth of the competitive scene. And I think just having a good ranked playlist will also promote that quite heavily as well.
For the past year, we've had to do a lot of waiting. What are your opinions on all of the waiting we've had to do so far? Do you think it's justified, or do you think they need to really hurry up?
I mean, realistically, you know, they're just doing whatever they think is necessary for the game, and whatever decisions they make in terms of delays and stuff like that, I assume it's for the best. While I might not be necessarily the most happy about a lot of the delays and a lot of the waiting, because I've been around since the beginning, if it's gonna mean that the game is gonna be better on release, I'm all for it.
It is 100% justified. I've never been one to feel like I deserve news, or because I tested an alpha for a game, I am somehow entitled to be updated on the entire development of said game. It's none of my business. And, you know, as much as it hurts, if you can't handle waiting for games, you should be a little more open to opting out of playing in alphas and betas.
I think the waiting sucks, but I do understand why. They just want the game to be the best, you know, when it launches, so I can get behind that. All the delays and the phases or whatever we're going through. But it does suck waiting. That's the only sucky thing.
It was a good thing that we had to wait to 2021 because we all want a finished game. But now they shouldn't wait too long to publish the game, finally. The community is starting to get a bit impatient, I guess.
I think the time that they're taking is 100% needed and is completely, like, that's 100% what they should be doing right now. I think they're focusing on all the right things. It's just the development team is doing great in my eyes.
I don't think the waiting's not a problem at all, because we know we're going to wait, and the more we wait, the better the game's going to be on release. The problem I always had was there were periods in this waiting where they were silent for months on end, and that was the real issue and the real thing that bugged me personally with how they were doing it.
So what I will say is I would rather wait for a game so that it's not broken and doesn't have tons of bugs on release than them to say, okay, screw it, let's release it early, doesn't matter about the bugs, and play a game that's just broken and get mad at it for reasons that are like major bugs and stuff, or bugs that high-level players may abuse to get high in leaderboards and stuff like that. So I think it's justified. I think we should wait for the game to be ready to be played.
Moving straight along, what is one thing that has been announced so far that you're a big fan of?
The skatepark, obviously. I think this is going to be a favorite for a lot of people, but it's something very new, something very innovative, I think. The skatepark, it's quite a nice little social place to gather, and the events that they mentioned would be cool. But yeah, I think that's going to be something on that a lot of people like.
I'm a super big fan of the uppercut, actually. I haven't gotten to play with it, and I am so excited to get my hands on it. I know back when they showed us the Ubisoft Forward game, I don't think that was very fun to watch because it was just a uppercut bunny hop festival. Nobody was doing anything other than that. But from what I've seen with the dev, like the little shots and stuff that the devs have been pulling up, I think the uppercut is really what this game needed to take it to that next level. Because when the pre-alpha and all that stuff came out, we were super worried about the skill ceiling and whether or not it was going to be, you know, mechanical enough, or there was going to be enough room to grow, or the skill ceiling was going to be too low.
The new uppercut, or like new moves in general, I think they've added multiple. But yeah, especially the uppercut, I feel like it adds a higher ceiling to the game, you know, bigger skill gap, and makes it more fun.
Well, yeah, that I like that they're adding a couple new moves. I think there was the uppercut, also the ball rolling. I like all of that. I like it because it makes the skill ceiling potentially higher based on how well you can use those moves, and I think it just makes gameplay overall more interesting.
All right, what is one thing that has been announced that you are not such a big fan of?
The score. I do like the idea of being able to end the game within a single goal. Like, it's fun. It's a pretty neat restriction because, as you know, you have to get 3 full laps around the rink in order to get that 5 points. It's just more so I wish that maybe the score might have been 1 or 2 more points. It's something very minor, but that's just it. Like, I would have wished for it to be like 7 or whatever.
Limited overtime and ranked. It's hard to make a ranked mode where you can take a draw I guess it would help the game to get a good esports get a good part in the esports scene if it's unlimited overtime like in Rocket League, because you can't simply do a draw. In Roller Champions, it's definitely not a good idea to take limited overtime.
Okay, well, two things. I'm gonna comment on the uppercut, but I think the uppercut is... I don't know what to make of it yet, because obviously nobody's really played with it, right? So, but I personally think it might be a little bit OP, but it depends. We haven't played, and obviously a lot of people are gonna say this, but the region lock on the closed beta is a something that I don't really enjoy.
Yeah, there's one. I don't like that beta is EU exclusive. I know a lot of people are probably going to be saying that, but I have to add on to it. I don't like that.
I mean, obviously, there's no way on earth everybody here that's NA doesn't say the European only beta. That's something that I was very surprised at. I really don't understand what Ubisoft is going for there. Obviously, I respect their decision as a company. You know, if they're gonna do something, they gave us the test in the first place. But I do think that they shouldn't have hyped it up to be such a big thing only to announce that it was going to be European only. That was definitely not a great move on their part.
Alright, and do you have any advice to the Roller Champions team going forward, or something that you think the Roller Champions team could do better?
I guess if we're talking about development side of like the community development side of Roller Champions and player created content, I hope that the team will support things like this, like custom maps or certain mods or whatever.
I would tell the Roller Champions team to please always listen and balance to the competitive scene, because at the end of the day, the competitive scene is gonna be, well, I say this because I know games that have balanced to the casual scene and competitive has suffered because of it. So I'm really hoping that they balance more towards the competitive side of it rather than the casual side of it.
Definitely to just keep the community more involved and more in the know with the production and of the game and whatnot, because when there's silence, you know, there's this fear that the game is going to be pushed back or going to be cancelled or everything, you know. The unknown is scary, so when they keep us in the silence for so long, it definitely unnerves me, for sure.
I think that it could be a bit more transparent on topics such as EU being exclusive to beta, or beta being exclusive to EU, rather.
So the thing that they could do better is probably the way they announce things, because, you know, when they first, you know, showed the gameplay back in UB Forward, everyone hated that. They got so much backlash. And then they showed, you know, videos of the uppercut throughout the months, and people started getting behind it. So I feel like the video they chose for UB Forward wasn't the best. And then just, they should have faith in their, you know, ideas and how they want the game to be. Because at the end of the day, if they hate their own game, like, why would any of us play it, you know?
I guess they have to listen a bit more to the community, because EU only was a bit weak for me. I'm from EU, but they could have split the keys and involved an A, but I guess they have a plan behind that. But it's sad that they never said why they did that.
Hey team, it's your boy. Don't stress out, keep doing your thing. I can't wait for the successful launch of Roller Champions. I know you guys and girls over there on the team are exhausted. Keep pushing, it's going to be so worth it, and you're going to change a lot of lives.
And that's about it for the video. Some cool takes from the community there. I really enjoyed talking to everyone. Make sure to hit the like button, and I'll be interested to see what some of your takes or favorite quotes from the video were, so make sure to leave that in the comments as well. Alright, I'm out. Take it easy, everyone.